A very good morning. Siyanivusela sanamukelela muhla on Kusile Breakfast Show. Thank you for waking up with us. It is 6 o'clock on the dot. Sathama usinphilile lapho nobukela khona umsakazo Eswatini TV. You can also watch this episode of Kusile Breakfast Show on our YouTube page Eswatini TV. Siyatholakala futhi naka DSTV channel 286. Good morning and happy Friday. Sathama usinphilile. My name is Longelele. Finally, it's a Friday.
You always look forward to Friday.
I'm always excited for the weekend.
Yeah, fair enough. How you doing?
I'm great.
I'm good. Welcome to Kusile Breakfast Show once again. It's going to be a good program. Sisaphetha lona liviki siyafuna ke ukuxoxisana na Fabrice Msonera ngetemidlalo. He will join us later on the program. A lot of exciting developments around temidlalo, but ke start ixoxisa kabandi. Sokuxoxa kabandi nakafika Fabrice.
Yes, Tapinza sikhulumisana na Communications Director ga ERS Vusi Dlamini on the new launched ERS new e-tax portal. A portal lena lapho itasetshenziswa ama clients a ERS leta usebenza 24 hours batakhona ke kwende ama task la tax related but ke tasichazela kabantu ivusi lomuhla at 6:30. Let's take a break. Sibuya sichubeke nehlelo.
Siphinze sinamukele ehlelweni kulesikhathi sanyalo sitabuka indzaba indvuna yelitiko letekulima umhlonishwa Mandla Chauka usilelitiko lisebentela ukuthi balimi belive bakhicite konke lokudzingwa imakethe kude ke kunciphe imikhicito lechamuka ngaphandle kwelive.
Indvuna yelitiko letekulima umhlonishwa Mandla Chauka uhola libandla letekulima wavakashela lifema lelikhicita emafutha ekupheka la kumathapha leletiwa ngale Eswatini Oil and Mill Industries noma ke Somi. Indvuna yelitiko letekulima umhlonishwa Mandla Chauka uthi lena indlela yelitiko letekulima kutohlola la efemeni yaseSomi ukuthi engabe lelitiko lingabasita kanjani balimi ukuthi bakhicite ngelizinga lelisetulu libhontshisi lelatiwa ngale soyabin longilona lelinye lekwakhiwa ngalo lamafutha.
Sineke silitiko letekulima sibukele ukuthi sifuna ukuthi sisebenzise ku develop ama value chains. So kukhicita noma processor kwema soybeans ukhiphe ioil is a good example of develop ama value chains. Sidike sitobuka lapha sobona le capacity yale ngamba ukuthi inganani. Sokhona ukuthi siphuma lapha sihambe sibuyelele ngemuva siyolima lawo ma soybeans ukuze ukuthi emaswati akhona ukuphila nalemakhaya asupply lengambane le.
Umcondzisi wale femi Mohammed David uthi emaswati enelithuba lelihle lekulima lelibhontshisi njengoba atawulima ngelizinga lelisetulu lidzinga kakhulu la enkampanini yakaSomi kukhicita wona emafutha.
You require almost between 45,000 hectares. So it's quite big number to supply to me. But I believe Eswatini and all farmers, we have about register until now what I know is 2,300 farmers.
Lokunye lesikutholile la nkapaneni yakaSomi ukuthi lokunye lokukhicitwa ngulamabhontshisi la femini kukhicita kona kudla kwetingulwane letahlukene lokungabadona ngito tinkukhu kuphindze kukhicitwe insipho kukhicitwe emafutha kuphindze kukhicitwe nato tinanzi ichocolate. Etindzabeni Eswatini TV kubika Samkel Swekhoza nginasimuva Shongwe uMatsapha.
Litiko letemphilo selimemetele likomiti lelitawubuka kutsi isibhedlela saka Luke Commission sishoda ngani futhi ke singabanjiswa njani kuletinkinga lesibhekene nato. Lelikomiti liholwa ngusihlalo walo lekuyindvuna yetemphilo umhlonishwa Mduduzi Mathebula.
Uhulumende soyisukumele itulo indzaba yesibhedlela saka Luke Commission kanti ke ngenhloso yekusita sona ke isibhedlela sibanjiswe lapho sinetinkinga khona. Litiko letempilo selibeke likomiti lelitawubuka kutsi lesibhedlela sitsenga ini singabanjiswa njani kuphi futhi.
Lo mthwalo lothwele NTLC ngumthwalo welitiko lisonzele lelitiko litobona ukuthi lingababambisa ngani bang Luke Commission lapho bakhala khona. Sesithi asitowubonisana so that sitowuphuma nesisombululo lesitawusebenta sisebentele wonke umuntu kutositakala eMaswati angafe eMaswatini ngokuthi sisehlulekile kuphakamela eduze sibonisane ukuthi singasitana ngakuphi. Leli bandla ke litawuphuma nemkhombandlela ukuthi i-relationship between uhulumende nalo commission itawuma njani iphindze libonisane ukuthi nangabe lo commission unetinkinga tetimali singamsika njani ukuthi athole leto timali kuphi nekwakuthi ke as a ministry they're responsible for i-health kulelive kumcoka ukuthi sathi TLC wendani unamaphi ama-challenges nekuthi unamaphi ama-strength lesingakhona ukuthi sisitane ne-ministry.
Lamalunga ke aleli komiti afaka ekhathi emalunga elitiko letempilo nabo ke isibhedlela saka Luke Commission kanti sihlalo waleli komiti induna yetempilo umhlonishwa Mduduzi Mathebula. Lesibhedlela ke kumanje sinetikweneti letifikako ku-60 million emalangeni kani leli komiti linikwe isikhathi esingamaviki lamabili kusuka ngalesine nje kuleli viki ukuthi lisebenze lendzaba libuyise timphendvulo yetiko letempilo. Emndzabeni kubika Giyani Msibi ngisesibhedlela saka Luke Commission esitokotho.
Commission na Inhlangano lebuke tindzaba tenhlalakahle tisebente emhlabeni International Labour Organization ithi ibheke kuthulumende etfule emaphakelo latawutfutfukisa kakhulu luhlangothi lwetebuciko kanye netakhiwo letifaka ekhatsi imigwaco bosomabhizinisi batawungena futhi baphume melula eveni.
Firstly, it's the amount of money that government is going to put aside for development, because it is those development projects that will give business on the ground. That is, to companies to be able to construct roads, construct hospitals, schools, and all that. That money actually goes to boost the activities of the private sector. And in turn, it empowers you and me and everybody on the streets, because when you get paid, you spend the money at the business. So there's that circle. Yeah? Secondly, it is what the government intends to do in terms of creating an environment that will enable the growth and the competitiveness of Eswatini companies as they compete internationally, but also as they create employment on the ground and alleviate poverty. Those conditions that are set for business are very critical, because they can either make or break the companies in Eswatini and stifle or promote their ability to create employment for Amaswatis.
Litiko letemfundvo litsilitimisela kutsi tonke tifundvo letifundvwa etikolweni tigcine tibhalwa ngelulwimi lwesiswati. Lokhu kuvetwe nguMusa Hlophe longumcondzisi we-National Curriculum Center ngesikhathi yamelele indvuna yelitiko letemfundvo umhlonishwa Owen Nxumalo emcimbini wekugubha lulwimi lwemdzabo yeSibane Hotel.
Ngenhloso yekugcina lulwimi lwesiSwati lunguletinye tetilwimi temdzabu letisolo tisetjentiswa lungalahlekelwa sisindvo salo, Litiko letemfundvo ligcizelela bumcoka bekusetjentiswa kwalolu lwimi mihla yonke. Loku kwesekela ligoli lesine lemhlaba lelikhuluma ngemfundvo lesezingeni lelisetulu futsi lengabandlululi kanye nemigomo yemhlaba etindzabeni letiphatselene nato tilwimi tendzabuko. Musa Hlophe seketfula inkulumo yendvuna ubeke kanjena.
Lulwimi lungumgogodla wesive kanye nentuthuko yaso. Ngeke kube nentuthuko kude lulwimi lwaleso sive. Kungako kufanele kuthi nathi simaSwati silucize, silugcine futhi silulondolote lulwimi lwethu lwesiSwati kude lungashabalali njengaletinye tilimi temdzabu.
Bongani Motha longumphatsi waka-Macmillan utsi tifundvo letifaka ekhatsi tibalo nabosayensi kufuna tifundziswe ngelulwimi lwesiSwati.
Letinhlelo atibe khona tekucinisa lesiswati kutsi sibe ngasho nje ngesingisi ngithi pheceleti sibe yi-language of instruction. Siyafisa selo phupho lelo lifezeke ngalelinye ilanga. Kulokunye lolulwimi lubucuka kakhulu loli sibabonile nje bantfwana lamuhla bekunetimbongi bekunekugitsa. Lolu lwimi limcuka ngalokuthi lihlanganisa sikolwa liphindze lihlanganise nani nasekhaya.
Lwandle Simelane waka-UNESCO utsi lulwimi lwendzabuko luyatitfutfukisa temfundvo futsi lwenta kutsi sikhone kufundza letinye tilwimi ngekushesha.
Ngithanda ukukhuthata emahlahlandlela elulwimi lwesiSwati nabo bonke labatsintekako ukuthi batame kuhumusha yonke imithetho nemibhalo lebalulekile ibhalwe ngalo lulwimi lwethu lwendzabuko.
Kanzi-ke imibiko lechamuka ka-UNESCO iveta kwekutsi tingetulu kwetinkulungwane letimbili nemakhulu lasitfupha tilwimi tendzabuko emhlabeni lokutsiwa tiyashabalala ngobe tingakhulunywa futsi tingabhalwa ngalokwanele lokukhatsatako impela. Kubika Phukuhle Dlamini etindzabeni te-Eswatini TV ngisezulwini.
Indvuna yetemfundvo umhlonishwa owenqumalo ethi temfundvo tisisekelwe intfutfuko yelive. Kungako-ke kumele tisekelwe ngendlela lefanele kusukela emimangweni emabangeni laphansi. Indvuna beyikhuluma ngesikhathi isukumisa luhlelo lwekutfutfukisa timfundvo lolusekelwe libhange lwakamhlaba i-World Bank.
Lolu hlelo lelatiwa ngelekuthi yatfutfuka imfundvo yakithi lachakaza likusasa lemaswati ngekusho kwelibhange lemhlaba i-World Bank lutawuvala tikhebesi letikhona tebantfwana labagcine bayekele esikolweni kugcine futhi temfundvo eveni laseSwatini. Lolu hlelo lisukumiswe ngalokusemtsetfweni indvuna yetemfundvo umhlonishwa owenqumalo.
I am happy that the project we are launching is indeed on the enhancement of human capital development in the country, and according to the specialists, I quote, human capital development focuses on the economic behavior of individuals, their accumulation of knowledge and skills that enables them to increase their productivity and earnings. In so doing, they increase the productivity and wealth of the societies they live in.
Lobuke libhange lemhlaba kuleli Okechi Okori uthi live laseSwatini lidzinga kubanjiswa kuvala tikhebesi letikhona kutemfundvo.
Education pays a great interest because it opens doors to opportunities. It opens doors that we must take deliberate steps to walk through. Education as well is what you might call the great equalizer. An investment in education allows that child from the rough side of town, or the south side as you might call it, to rise and make his or her life better.
Lumbiko walelibhange uveta kutsi kubantfwana labalishumi labacala emabanga laphansi ngulabatsatfu kuphela labagcine bacedze sikolwa. Etindzabeni te-Eswatini TV kubika Samkelswe Khoza ngasimuva Shongwe kamanzini.
Mapalane omkhulu ehhovisini leliphini ilandvunankulu uMelus Masuku uthi luhlelo lokubhadalela abantwana bendlunkulu esikolweni luyadzinga kuqiniswa kuvalwe ikhebesi letikhona. Masuku uvete lokho-ke nakamelelwe ngesikhathi kusukunyiswa luhlelo lokuthuthukisa temfundvo lelisekelwe inhlangano yesikhwama semhlaba i-World Bank.
Lolu hlelo litiko letemfundo lilisukumisa nje livela seswatini latibophelela ngeminyaka wa 2019 ukuthi wonke umntfwana eveni utawukhula anakwe ngato tonke tidzingo tekukhula kwakhe ikakhulukati temfundo. Mapalane lomkhulu ehhovisini leliphini landvunankulu uMelus Masuku uthi lolu hlelo lumcoka ehlelweni lokubhadalela abantfwana bendlunkulu esikolweni njengoba lutawuthuthukiswa ngaphansi kwalolu hlelo.
The Office of the Deputy Prime Minister is pleased to note that the Orphan and Vulnerable Children Education Program will also form part of the project. And for that, we're grateful to the World Bank and the Ministry of Education. For us, at the Office of the Deputy Prime Minister, and by extension, government as a whole, the overseas education program is a thorny issue. Simply for what it has become. And it often begs the question, does it really serve the purpose for what it was intended?
Kethukuthula Simelane ukhulumele bantfwana bendlunkulu labazuza kuleli hlelo lelichutshwa nguhulumende.
Then I was offered an opportunity to teach computer basics by a man who promised to help me upgrade my English. However, this promise turned into a nightmare when he took advantage of me, of my vulnerability, and violated me. This is the plight of most overseas in the country. Instead of being offered help, we are often seen as prey by perpetrators. Some overseas are driven to risky behaviors such as early sexual debut, transactional and intergenerational sex, which often results in early and unintended pregnancies and other negative outcomes like contracting HIV.
Lolu hlelo ngekusho kwelibhange lemhlaba i-World Bank kulokunye lutawugcinisa emakhono abothishela kuthuthukiswe ihlelo lokubhadalela abantfwana bendlunkulu esikolweni phindze kufundwe ngetebuchwepheshe tifundvo tetibalo nesayensi. Etindzabeni Eswatini TV kubika Samkel Suekhoza nasimuva Shongwe kamanzini.
Loyo bekakatsi alunga lephalamende lenkhundla yaseNgwempisi Mthandeni Dube uthi kumvisa buhlungu ukuthi umsindvo lowasuka ngeminyaka wa 2021 washiya kulimele impahla lokufaka ekhatsi emabhizinisi ngenxa yebantfu bebakadze bahlose kufeza tinhloso tabo. Dube ukusho lokhu ngesikhathi atishweletela ukuthi inkantolo ifane imnikete isigwebo lesingasiso lesikhulu. Kanti-ke lijaji lenkantolo lenkhulu Mamsi Dlamini lakhandza Dube kanye naloyo bekalunga lephalamende lenkhundla yasehosiya Mduduzi bacede emabuza banemacala lamabili ekubulala kanye nalelo lekuphula umtsetfo lolwanetiphekula sikhuni.
Lo bekalunga lephalamende lenkundla yaseNgwempisi Mthandeni Dube uyivete lendzaba yokuthi kushiswa kwempahla lokufaka ekhatsi amabhizinisi kwamvisa buhlungu kulandzela ukuthi ummeli wembuso ambude ukuthi uyatisola yini ukuthi emuva kwalamagama labekasola wakhuluma kwagcina kulimele impahla kuleli. Uthi denakathi kwamvisa buhlungu ummeli wembuso wathi akabonakala ukuthi ungumuntu lotisolako. Ummeli wembuso ujinge futhi wabuta Dube ukuthi yini leshiwe itolo enkantolo ngiloyo bekalunga lephalamende lasehosiya Mduduzi bacede emabuza langahambisani nako. Mthandeni wathi inkantolo ukuthi inkulumo amabuza ayimfaki yena njengalokhu mabuza beyakaza tikhulumela yena yedwa. Uthi nangalesikhathi basakhuluma bangakaboshwe bebakade batikhulumela bona njengalokhu yena bekakhuluma njengelunga lephalamende laseNgwempisi. Dube uphindze wavetela inkantolo ukuthi yena isikhathi sakhe sokuba lunga lephalamende sesecile ngakokuqinisekisa ukuthi uhulumende usebentele eMaswati sekutawuba yintwe yemalunga lephalamende lakhona ehhovisini kwamanje. Dube wathi selijaji lenkantolo lenkulu Mamsi Dlamini ukuthi unebantfwana labathathu makwakhe kanye nemkakhe logulako lakabanakekelako. Dube ungete ukuthi ushinge futhi anakekele labanye abantwana labasihlanu bebantfu bakibo. Utsitela bathathu balabantwana abafunda etikolweni temabanga laphakeme kanti labanye basesetingulisa. Wathi inkantolo ukuthi uphinza nikele lebantwana bemantombazana. Wathi inkantolo ukuthi uphinza nikelele bantwana besikole labangamantombazana labalikhulu nemashumi lasihlanu Ngekokudinaka uma basemalangeni nabo wathi inkantolo ukuthi kulukhuni kuba sejele kana akafiseli ngisho sinye isihlobo sakhe ukuthi siboshwe lokhonkosela ukuthi inkantolo imnike isigwebo lesincane Dube ukwenteke phansi kwesifungo senkantolo lokhu kukhomba kwehluka ekusholoteteni lokwentiwe ngulowo bekalunga lePhalamende lenkundla yaseHosia Mduduzi bacede mabuza njengaloku yena abeyakazi angakafungeli kusholetwa kwakhe kutawuzinati nge-26 enyangeni letako kubheke ukuthi bameli bahulumende kanye nebebasola batfule ubufakazi ukuthi kungani inkantolo kumele ibashaye ngeliswati loluncane noma ke lelikhulu etindzabeni kubika Fortune Dlangamandla isenkantolo lenkulu.
Umndeni wakaMasina endzaweni yasezulwini usola lihovisi lakaMaster ngekucambukela ekukhetheni loyo lekumele abuke kwabiwa kwelifa lemufi Roy Masina. Lamabili emalunga latsindzekako kulokwabiwa kwelifa la Roy athi agcine aphuma ashiya umhlangano uchubeka ngesikhathi losebenta kaMaster abakhethisa ngekungabonisani nalomndeni loyo lokumele abuke kwabiwa kwalelifa lemufi.
Lomndeni wakaSimilane wenteleti insolo ngesikhathi uvele embi kwekhomishana lephenya kungaphatheki kahle kwemafi ehovisini lakaMaster. Lomndeni uvele kule khomishana kuyofuna lisito lokuthi salokuphela phela kwabiwa kwelifa la Roy lwashona ngeminyaka wa2020. Lelifa lemufi lifaka ekhathi tindlu letimabedsitter letisikhombisa tekucashisa letakha imali lengetulu kwa23,000 ngemalangeni ngenyanga. Tapsile Ncamphalala lomele umntwana wakhe loneminyaka le17 kulo kwabiwa kwalelifa watisele khomishane ukuthi kulomunye umhlangano ehovisini kaMaster abantwana bemufi baphendvulana kalukhuni uthi lisekela laMaster kulowo mhlangano labatshela ukuthi litabakhethela lotobuka lelifa lemufi uthi lisekela labavimba nabathi bavakalisa kungatfokoti kwabo bangumndeni ngalowo bebakade bakhethelwa yena. Ncamphalala uthi waphuma wawushiya lowo mhlangano ngalezizathu sekungalalela noma babeka umbono ngalowo lelisekela laMaster belibanika yena. Lomunye lowashiya lo mhlangano kuthiwa indvodzakade yemufi ifundiswa lonaye beyangavumelani ngalokukhethwa kwalowo bebanikwa yena. Ncamphalala uthi kusihlwa ngalelo langa bathula licingo lelibabitele emaphoyiseni uthi bafike emaphoyiseni bafike babasola ngekuthuka lisekela laMaster kanye nekwephula teacher. Uthi ngaleso sizathu akaphinzanga yena waye emahovisini kaMaster kuyofuna imali yemntfwana uma angekho emaphoyisa ngakwesaba ukuthi batamakhela lamanye emacala. Sekaphendvula etinsolo lisekela laMaster lindelwa amagagulu uthite lababili bametfuka ngetinhlamba loyo beyalisekela laMaster. Magagulu utshele lekhomishane ukuthi baphindze bagahlata nesivalo kaMatima. Lihhovisi lakaMaster latise lekhomishane ukuthi loyo babukele lifa lemufi lwasuswa lokungifundiswa akaphathanga kahle imali ecawa ukuthi 200,000 emalangeni. Lelihhovisi lakaMaster licele kulungisa umbiko ngalendzaba bese liyetfula kule khomishane. Lelinye lifa lelitsingidwe kule khomishane ngilelo lokwabiwa kwelifa la Joseph Ngambule. Lifa Ngambule liplazi lelisevuvulane kuleli plazi kulinywa umoba. Umndeni wakaNgambule ukhala ngekuthi bathi bangalima bese munye wemndeni nasebathengisa lo moba emshinini bese udla imali yedwa. Njengaloku ingena ebhukini lakhe lasebhange bathi labalabanye abatfola lutho etindzabeni kubika Fortune Dlangamandla ngisembabane.
Bafundzi betikolo letahlukene edolobheni kaManzini bathi basitakala nabachazelwa ngematfuba lavulekile netifundvo labangatikhetsa uma bacedza sikolwa basaya kuyafundza imfundvo lephakeme.
Lidolobha lakaManzini lihlanganisa abafundzi betikolo letisedolobheni kaManzini nemacenzelo lamemake nebetemfundo lephakeme labahlukahlukene nalabanye lapho khona abafundzi bachazelwe ngalabangakufundzela nabacedza sikolwa pheceleti i-Career Expo. Dive Nxumalo welidolobha lakaManzini uyenapha ngomcoka balolu suku kubafundzi.
Faka ekhathi students laka form 3 naka form 5. Lana ke simeme njengoba nibonile etitfombeni simeme bo IDM simeme bo Regent naletinye nje ma institutions la khona kuze bakhone ukuguide abantwana bethu ngema careers lekumele ukuthi bawathathe. Lokunye ke lokuhlukile ngalomcimbi wethu namuhla ukuthi si provide i-opportunity ukuthi abantwana bakhone ukukhuluma nema professionals la khona lana kaNgwane kuze kabathi kabanti ngekuthi lama professions labafuna kungena kiwo ahamba kanjani.
Nebafundzi ke bathi basitakele kakhulu ngalolu suku.
Bengingade ukuthi ngifuna kuba yini but after sengivashele ama-departments lahlukene sengiyade ukuthi ngifuna kuba yini and ngiba ngathi ngisitakele kakhulu.
Ngikhonile kugeyina timvo letinyenti nema-colleges lengakhona kuwangenela nangifula scholarship.
Ngitholile ukuthi lisekhona lithuba because basitshela kusase early because ngikhansi singenile ka form 5 basitshelile kusase early ukuthi yinema requirements lawadingako lama universities.
We have learned that there are lots of categories that we can involve in as students, and it also helped us to open our minds about ideas on what we can learn about if we were students and were planning to go abroad.
Ngitholile kwathi ukuthi-ke kufuna ngitimisele kanganani ukuthi ngikhone ngena ema-universities lahlukene la kaNgwadi.
Labafundi-ke bathi sekuye bacacela ukuthi kungumanje lokunye bangakufunzela kufaka ekhathi kuthishela sekugcwele nemathuba-ke ekucashwa ayimvela kancane kulelo hlangothi. Ngakho-ke kunenge lapho bavuleke emehlo ngakhona ngalokunye bangakufunzela. Endzabeni kubika Khiyani Msibi, ngisamavuso Sport Center kaManzini.
Inhlangano yabo somabhizinisi ibusiness Eswatini ithi ifuna ukuconza kahle yonke imithetho lebuka inhlala kahle etisebenzi njengoba indlela letiphatheke ngayo tisebenzi inemthelela lomkhulu ekutheni ibhizinisi isebenta kanjani. Mengameli walenhlangano Mvuselelo Fakutse uthi bafise ukuthi banganyatheli emalungelo etisebenzi basasebenta.
Ingosi sithumile asigijime sithi ngwe ku-create imisebenzi emaswati, so sihlangane naleto ndzaba ukuthi siqhuba njani ka-energy sector, siqhuba njani ka-mining sector, siqhuba njani ka-banking sector, konke lama sectors la affecta emaswati. So sitokhulumisa leto ndzaba namuhla, but ikakhulu futhi sineba ka-ILO labatosisita ngekuthi emisebentini khona kufuna siphathane kanjani singema-employers nje. Inzima yethu siyidlala ngalokufanele yini nangaloku semthethweni yini, nanokuthi-ke lama international conventions laba abuka kuwona siwalandzela kahle yini singabosomabhizinisi laba seswatini. Mangabe-ke singendi kahle basifundzise-ke basikotshe ukuthi lokhu-ke umfana lomncane nemcashi nekuthi discriminate emsebentini. Tinto letifana leto nokuthi siphathana njani netisebenti tethu siba somabhizinisi eSwatini. So kakhulu nje batosita ngalama international benchmarks ekugayida ukuthi masemsebentini kufuna sisebenzisane kanjani nebantu.
Kunamthelela muni kuphatha kahle tisebenzi ikakhulukade emnothweni welive nasendzabeni yekuchuba wona emabhizinisi?
Lokusala ukuthi noma ungumcashi noma ucashiwe umuntu, uma ngabe ungumuntu unelungelo, so thina-ke sibaqasha kumqoka ukuthi siyade imithetho lekuyona isicondzisa ukuthi kufuna sibaphathe njani bantu emsebentini, ngoba singasebenza thina sicawunisenda kahle kanti kuningi lesiphambana nabo ngokwemithetho. Uma ngabe abantu bajabulile emsebentini, umsebenzi utawuqhubeka ukhulu ube mkhulu, futhi uma bangajabuli batawubulala lo msebenzi. So kumqoka ukuthi abantu lesisebenzisana nabo siphathane kahle.
Ngijimi yakuleli Bongiwe Mahlalela ithi uma ingashaya sikhathi lesisha eveni pheceleti i-national record esigabeni se-150 meters kutawumkhutsata kakhulu ekutheni adlale kangcono kakhulu emidlalweni yema-All Africa Games letako eveni laseGhana. Mahlalela ugijime isikhathi lesingu-17:37 seconds waphuma waba senzaweni yesibili.
Emidlalo ema-All Africa Games latoba 7 laseGhana kulomnyaka losetulu Bongiwe Mahlalela lokuyingijimi yakuleli letilolonga eveni laseNingizimu Afrika bekangenela umqhudelwano welibanga lelitse le-150 meters kulungiselela yona imidlalo ema-All Africa Games.
A national record of 150 meters with a time of 17:70 seconds, and I placed position 2, which was a very wonderful time for me and my coach, especially because we were targeting a 7:2 and a 17:1, but I happened to run a first time. I'm happy about it. It means my 100 meters and my 200 meters this season is going to be a great one, and I'm looking forward to further break those times from my PBs. And the other very week, I ran my 100 meters with a personal best time of 11:53 seconds, coming from 11:65 seconds. I'm happy with those times, and right now I'm preparing for African Games. Everything is good. Everything is going the way I want things to be, and working hard. I'm pushing very hard in training. And I've also qualified for African Champs, and I'm still trying to qualify for Paris Olympics 2024, and I think anything is possible on this planet Earth.
Kanzi nasibusiso swazibolt Matsenjwa bekaungenele lo mcitsulano lapho khona ophuma wabasenzaweni yesibili. Matsenjwa uthe malungiselelo akapheli njengoba kuleli viki usendleleni lebheka khona eveni laseJalimani. Lobikelo umsakade Eswatini TV temidlalo ngilinda Dlamini kanzi titfombe tithethulwe ngelicingo.
Tingako tesiswati sitawuba hlola imakethe sibuya sixoxisana navusi Dlamini from Eswatini Revenue Service.
Residents of Simunye and surrounding areas are notified that intense TV license door-to-door inspections are being conducted in the region. The exercise starts on the 19th to the 28th of February 2024. Stay alert. Our TV license inspectors will be wearing Eswatini TV gear and will have tags that confirm their identity. Don't be scammed. Our inspectors do not ask for cash payments. Pay your TV license only at specified pay points or call us on 34050163 or 78024545 for more information. Alternatively, you can send a WhatsApp message to 76222000 and we'll chat with you. Pay your TV license today, enhance the industry.
Welcome back. Sakuvusela nawo lo sanzaku sivulela ta Friday. On Friday sikhuluma tindzaba tekubhadalwa kwemthelo. Inkampani ke Eswatini Revenue Service itawusukumisa ngalokusemthethweni on the 29th of February e-tax portal. This is a self-service platform lapho khona ema-clients aka-IRS atawukhona kwenta timvo letiphatselene nekubhadalwa kwemthelo online 24 hours. To tell us more about it, I'm joined by the Communications Director aka-IRS, Vusi Dlamini. Nkosi, a very good morning. Thank you for joining us once again. This is a new platform. Mhlambe IRS la introduce it noma mhlambe ni modernizile la platform lena ukuthi ama clients enakhona kwenda ama tasks related to tax payment. Tell us more about it. Mhlambe nisichazele ukuthi vele what are the benefits of having this platform?
Asibonga lolu sibonga kakhulu siyakhumbula ukuthi sekusikhathi lesithe mhlawumbe sikhuluma ngokuthi sakha isystem lensha yekusebenzisa tindzaba temthelo from a domestic taxes perspective lokusho ukuthi kubutha imithelo ngekhathi even si mhlawumbe kubuye emva kancane kukhumbuta nje ukuthi sinema systems lesithi abe mabili shothi lenye ibuka kungenisa kwetimbahla noma kuphuma nekungena kwetimbahla lesithi asikhula system asikhula wealth kwanyalo then ke locally we are using a system lesithi ba ngisho ukuthi ama clients ethu nakayibona on the other side ayibona as an e-tax system. I think labaneng batayikhumbula kanjalo, which is an online platform. I think a few months ago sa indicator la sasho khona ukuthi iyeda le system lensha sa mention ukuthi mhlawumbe sibe nalawo ma delays in terms of we implementer because besisazama ukuthi silungise tindvo lapha nalapha based on feedback lebe siyithola from my clients ethu. And then leyo system we mentioned again towards the end of last year that the system is now coming. And as you have indicated, the system is now here and it is coming. It's going to be officially launched in the next week. Gusho nje ukuthi lesikubonile lesicabanga ukuthi kutawuba ngama-benefits nema-clients ethu lesibhiliva ukuthi ayakujabulela kwekuthi kunetinto thite mhlawumbe lebedenteka kule system lenzala lebetingendeke kule system lenzala lesithi tawendeka in the new system. I will make just one example. In the old system, now ufuna kukhona nakulesithi withholding tax ke iyaye ibanjwe ukhandithi tawubanjwa kulabo labenda ibhizinisi even lakangwane bayibambe kulabo labaqhamuka from outside the country bekudzinga ukuthi bagcwalise lawo maphepha still because the old system was not able to do that. I think generally what we can mention is that this new system that we will be introducing we call it a more agile system lokusho ukuthi kulula ukuthi siyimodify siyende ngendlela yokuthi ikhona kusuita leto tinto lesifuna kutenda at whatever point in time. So we believe that it's actually an exciting system.
Okay, before sikhulume nje ngosichazela ngale e-tax portal, I think ngifuna sikhulume nje nge-approach yenu nge-ERS since transitioning from authority to service. I think sinibonile ndama changes lamaningi, you've gone paperless onke mhlambe ema-services leno provider go online for my clients. And tell us more about the strategies senu nje soku-digitize nje ama-services in.
Yes, our digitalization journey is is very clear. So that is actually where we are going from. I think, as you've mentioned, from the time Nasi Shinja from a service, from an authority to a service. One, the critical bit that we are emphasizing there is that as we move towards being a service, it is important buga from our client's perspective. Sitenda based on our own thinking, whilst we may be coming from our own thinking, but we then go and see if our clients would be happy with that, which is why actually as we introduce this new system, one of the key stakeholders, Lesiba, involved Baba Corner as we develop the system, and they were part of the journey, they have been part of the journey, is those that we refer to as tax practitioners, who are actually helping businesses in terms of completing the returns and navigating through systems. They've given us quite some good feedback as we're developing this current system. So that's our digitalization journey basically involves quite a number of things. I think I spoke about our Asikuda Wealth system, which we are also at some point in time going to upgrade to make it even better. There's lots of functionalities that also we believe our clients are supposed to be using, and we want to encourage them to continue using them. But anyways, today we're just talking about the new 24-hour portal.
Okay, so have you had a chance to engage with your clients in my trainings? This new platform is and what's their response?
Actually, yes, we have ongoing engagements already in my trainings, which we started, I think, a week or two ago. I think it's last week sometime, because we already knew that the system is almost complete or near complete, basically, where we are happy. So we started with them virtual sessions to take through some of the businesses Labakona went online. But we've gone out, we are going to different regions, to the different regions of the country, and we are happy with the way in which people are taking interest in this, such that what we have noted ukuthi labanye bathi batawucela ukuthi sibe nawo lamanye ma sessions, because it does look like they missed some of the sessions. We want to encourage those businesses to actually watch the space and observe if we will have to do, and definitely we'll do additional ones so that they come and participate.
So how long will they go on for? Even after the launch, after the 29th?
We may not necessarily, if there is a need for us to continue, we'll definitely do it, but we will be using other means to actually sensitize our clients in terms of how this new portal is going to work. But definitely our role is to ensure that everyone who is supposed to understand the system understands it.
Okay, just give us a picture perhaps the security features, the login details, are they safe? Do they use their emails, personal details, and is it safe to use the portal?
One of the key things that we ensure we do ERS is in Zabaye IT security. I think we've got an IT security team that is responsible for ensuring that don't get involved as sit from a technology perspective. So we can safely say the system is actually safe. Okay. It's a safe system. But I think what we are talking to also speaks to how people are supposed to log in, and if I think the critical thing is that in the current system, let's say they are using their TIN to actually register or log into the system. In this new system, we will be expecting their email addresses to go into the system. Now that is very important because, as you say, you are talking security. It is important that one, you know your email address, and we believe that our clients do know their email addresses, but also ensure that they keep their details safe, because whilst we may play the role that we would want to play to ensure that the system operates in a safe environment, but it is also key that the user of the system also ensures that share my passwords with other people, because as you know, like any other system, your banking system, you can't share your PIN with myself, because something can actually happen at some point. So I think it's the use of the email address, but the emphasis there is between now and the time when the system starts, it is very crucial to make sure your email address is actually the correct one that is in the current e-text system, because the day the system register, it will be reading from the old system. So you must make sure that the email address in the new system is actually the one that you in the current system. So we would encourage our clients to ensure that they know those email addresses. I think in the current system, now if you change a password, you will find that it becomes a little bit complicated. In the new system, you will not be forced necessarily to change the system. I mean, the password, you will change it if you feel you want to change it in your own way. But it also will give you a wide range of questions that you can be asked to respond to, so that whenever questions people will know scholar grade 1, they will know that, and it becomes easy for them to actually remember that. So that system is configured in that way. I'll not go into too much detail here because we'll be launching the system.
My password acting in contact the ARS, I can just do it on the portal.
You will not need to actually contact the ARS unless you're really struggling. We still are available to assist, but it should be easy for you to reset your password.
Okay, just remind us what services are available gule portal. TCC corner, VAT certificate.
Yes, I think the one key one is that instead of waiting to be good to print a VAT certificate, you should be able to download it. I think a number of certificates that are actually needed, you will be able to actually download them from the system. The other bit that though will not be coming now, we know that there is a lot of other things that our clients have struggled with, but the system here to see introduce in phases. Some of the bits that will be exciting will be coming later in the year, in the current calendar year. I think it's about double pay as you earn in terms of our clients will be able to submit their returns definitely when the system starts, but I think there's certain other additions that we are actually making, which by September or so we believe that we would have actually improved the system. Look for we reconcile. I think we've spoken about the reconciliation now for pay as you earn for Bakash. This system is going to actually make it even easier later on. It's not going to happen immediately. That's why we say we believe it's going to be a real exciting system compared to what we have.
Okay, good. And of course, you're launching on the 29th. So, as speaking of 29, it will say 7 available portal, it will say up and running.
We normally would have a
time where we will do what we call a blackout, where the system will not, neither system will be available because we need to transition. So we will launch on the 29th. I think the Commissioner General will do the launch on the 29th. But on the 4th, which is the Monday, that's when the system is actually going to start. So it then means between the 1st and the 3rd up to the 4th, before the 4th, there will be no system available at that point in time. So we want to also encourage our clients, labafuna ingumbi yabo khanza bafuna kwenda lawo tenders and everything, ukuthi abatende nyalo letindo between now and end of February, like inzaba ye tax compliance certificate that they would need for whatever, so that bangatoba nema challenges when the current system is actually off in preparedness for Ukala, the new system on the 4th.
Okay, thanks so much. If you want to know more about this tax portal, you can contact the IRS. Go WhatsApp 7606 3735. Let's take a break. Sabia Koramanja.
Vibes from Hoops. Studio One is back on your screens with live performances, your movers and shakers, the hustlers, doing the work. Entertainment news, local and international, nothing but fresh vibes every Saturday at 6 p.m. Let's go. What are you doing on a Saturday evening? We got nothing but the best. Vibes from Hoops.
Welcome back to the program. We want to look at our program Showreel. We have brand new programs that we have Lapa Ekaga Eswatini TV, some from the newsroom department and some from the production department, but a lot of excitement around these programs, as well as how much they attract some stakeholders. Let's say now Eswatini TV, a lot of advertising packages that come with these new programs, but let's just look at the showreel ourselves, and you'll be the judge yourself.
Welcome to Eswatini Television Authority. Our channel provides content that connects communities, encourages education, and inspires change. The vision is to enhance national development and community growth. Our newsroom delivers major stories and freshly cut bulletins throughout the day in both English and Siswati. We have an hour-long bulletin during the week with news and sports stories from all 4 regions of Eswatini and around the globe. Current affairs are discussed at length in a timely manner on Kusile Breakfast Show. This is our weekly morning live broadcast with news and interviews. Catch up on what's happening in the world of sports.
But spreading love.
For the lovers of hard talk interviews and those who enjoy facts about topics that impact our livelihoods, watch Asake Gwefu. This is a show hosted by senior journalist Linton Gule, where he sits down with key officials and asks the questions you want answers to. We have a selection of business news programs each day of the week. Market View is a wide-ranging view of the market landscape. We offer expert analysis, facts and figures from the world of business. Step into the world of business news, analytics and trends with Business Watch. This is where discussions on finances from all over the globe are brought to the table.
Swatini business community, and another story will be from the Ministry of Finance with Minister Neil Reichenberg updating us on revenue appeals.
We are a nation with deep cultural roots and diverse, colorful traditional events. We capture and broadcast all the major national events, cultural events, including Umhlanga, Bugano, Ingwala, Sibaya, and many more. When it comes to sports, we've got the ball in our court. Demidlalo is our weekly highlights show for all local sports events. We kick off the week with reviews, dribble the past weekend games, and tackle upcoming fixtures. We zoom in on football in our analysis show, Libola Eswatini, which focuses on local highlights and discusses trending football issues. For a daily dose of lifestyle content, watch The Golden Hour, an afternoon show that has interesting interviews on family, health, and wellness. Keep up to date with the latest social media stories and get tips on the latest trends and fashion events.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the show. It's the Golden Hour on Eswatini TV, the only show we say hashtag Kumnanzi Ekhaya. It is good to be home. A very warm welcome, guys.
Every Friday, tune into the ever-trendy Eswatini Lifestyle, the show that covers events that happen in the country. Inspired by passion, drive, and swag, the show loves the red carpet events, fancy cars, trendy people, and places. For local travel enthusiasts, Buhle Betfu is a virtual tour guide to places of interest in and around Eswatini. The focus is on accommodation, local cuisine, and fun activities. Believe it or not, Eswatini has extraordinary chefs with excellent culinary experiences. We like finding talented chefs that bring together both the traditional and international flair on our show. This season we're cooking with Mrs. M. She's a celebrity chef who brings both the aesthetics and taste to the dinner table. Her decadent pleasures are served with love. A Kapa with Nomcebo is where ordinary people tell real and raw stories of their lives. Nomcebo's guests share their painful life experiences, giving insight on their personal challenges and celebrating their victories over a Kapa with Nomcebo. When we put our best foot forward, we do so on Mbili Kanye Kanye. This talk show dives into the nitty-gritties of issues, focusing on local governance, development, and service delivery. Religious shows are where we take it easy on Sundays. The musical show Gospel Impact is where local gospel artists tell their stories through praise and worship with Mbali Smelane as the host.
This is a song that I always specify it as one of my life songs because it is a response to something that I do not deserve.
Lithini Libandla is where the church has a say. The show dissects issues of faith with leaders and members discussing matters that affect social norms in and out of the church.
Angibingelele mbukele umsakazo wakha Eswatini TV thami kwasembuyisayo yakubingelela yakuvusela yakumukela mbukele sehlelweni lithini libandla.
For the young minds, we have Brains on the Go, a school quiz show that unearths brains from students in all corners of the country by unlocking an exciting level of thinking and learning.
Maize or biltong?
I think it's biltong.
Street Quiz is a game show where random individuals on the street find themselves answering general knowledge questions posed to them for a cash prize. If you were young and dare to dream, then Dream It, Achieve It is the show for you. This is where you get to see young and dynamic achievers working hard and chasing their dream businesses and careers. And if you need inspiration and motivation for the climb, listen in on our conversations with those who have traveled the journey on Young Climber. This is a show where successful people share their stories of trials and triumphs. For a bit of comedy, join Eswatini's top comedian Mdura, the host of the remarkable talk show This and That with Mdura. This is where we get to know more about our local personalities as they share with us their slices of life, laughter, and music. We have comedic relief with our show, Squad Code, your guide to navigating the streets. We get quick and clever opinions from the squad who answer quirky and funny questions on situations we all have been through or know about.
Can you start a relationship in December?
You can. I mean, there's no time or month for starting a relationship.
It's December warm group.
Entertainment comes in the form of music on The Beatdown, a show where we do a countdown for our local top 10 videos and a roundup of entertainment news stories from around the globe. Every Friday begins with our party starter, a show called This Weekend Eswatini. This is our gig guide to all the events in the country with intervals of music, interviews, and movie reviews. Studio One is a youth-driven, energetic show that brings local entertainment news, pushes top-quality music videos, and gets cozy with local artists and interviews and performances.
#1 DJ in Africa.
See you every Saturday at 6 p.m.
on Eswatini TV. Studio One. Studio One.
Studio One.
The party goes on with our show, Friday Night Lights. This is where the DJs light up the dance floor in your house. It's live music galore as the best DJs dish out hit after hit straight from the studio to your screens. We have international content in our telenovelas. Heartland, a drama series based in Canada, follows a multi-generational saga centered on a family getting through life together in both happy and trying times.
He is really cute and really rich. He goes to some private school. Frat boy.
Are you ready to go?
We cross over to the border, show where we discover a whole new world of intelligent and brilliant detectives who confront the world's harshest and most shocking border security problem head on.
Somebody 3 times a week. I'm taking her out of the field. That's duty home. Who's the girl?
It's my daughter. Don't worry, she's not yours.
Eswatini TV has so much more. So, join our world of content, tailor-made for an experience the best Eswatini has to offer.
Yeah, bekungiyo-ke i-showreel yethu yama-programs lamasha lesinawo eluhlelweni sitawubahlwethu makethe sibuye sibuke ndzabate isingisi.
Renewal of TV licenses for 2024 is now open. Here is a quick reminder. A viewer's TV license costs 180 emalangeni per device. Other accessories such as decoders and set-top box cost 50 emalangeni per device. For traders and repairers, TV license costs 300 emalangeni per business area. And now, to pay your TV license, use these following methods. You can use MTN Mobile Money with the number 762222000 or dial *007 *3 *7#, or you can use Eswatini Imali. You can pay our TV license at any post office in the country. Another option is you can use any NetBank branch using our TV license account number 119900430037. Don't forget, when paying for your viewer's TV license, reference with your PIN at all times. And when paying for a retailer TV license, reference with your TIN at all times. For more information, call us on 7802-4543 or 34050163 or 34020879. And you can send us a WhatsApp message on 762222000.
Welcome back. It's 7 o'clock. Let's get into our English news. The Prime Minister, His Excellency Russell Dlamini, has urged leaders from different shapes of life in the kingdom to resist the removal of faith in the school curriculum while fighting against the introduction of foreign doctrines in schools. The Prime Minister was addressing the Global Leadership Summit that is organized by the Pottersville Church annually at Emafini.
Annually, the Pottersville Church, based at Emafini in Eswatini, stages the annual Global Leadership Summit. The summit seeks to strengthen and encourage leaders to lead according to Bible principles, especially of the Christian faith. This year, the ceremony was graced by the presence of the Right Honorable Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Eswatini, His Excellency Russell Dlamini.
We must reject any attempt to remove faith from our school system and from our curriculum. We must also carefully and jealously guard against the introduction of values that are contrary to our faith and that are contrary to our traditional values. We must not be apologetic about who we are, and we must not be apologetic about what we stand for. Many who led before us were blindsided. And we have seen that in some instances, conforming to what is against our culture and tradition has led to more problems. Ladies and gentlemen, leadership is a personal responsibility. It is a personal choice to make a difference. It begins at personal level, and knowing that things don't just happen. It is people who make things happen.
Dlamini encouraged and beseeched leaders to assist government while she's trying to revive the ailing economy of the kingdom and open job opportunities, especially for young people. In 2022, the African Union reported that Africa has got a young population. 50% of those are people under the age of 18. For Eswatini TV News, I'm LinkedIn Gule.
The Ministry of Health has announced a committee that will look into the problems of the Look Commission and how the hospital can be assisted. The committee is chaired by the Minister of Health, Honorable Mduduzi Matsebula.
The government of Eswatini has sprung into action in assisting the Look Commission in challenges faced by the hospital. The Minister of Health has announced a committee that will look into coming up with solutions in the challenges faced by the Commission.
We hope to come up with a strong team comprised of officials from both KLC and Ministry of Health, which will deliver on the objectives of the assignment, clearly outlined in the terms of reference, which will include the following: outlining the services provided and challenges faced by the two institutions.
The committee comprises of members from both the Ministry of Health and the Look Commission and is chaired by the Minister himself, Honorable Mduduzi Matsebula. The Look Commission has debts amounting to 60 million emalangeni at the moment. The committee has been given a 2-week period from this Thursday to come up with solutions and how the Look Commission can be assisted and then present before the Ministry. Reporting MKNMCB at the Look Commission, Stogoto.
Clerk to Parliament Benedict Klaba informs members of Parliament that the budget speech that was scheduled for Friday this morning has been postponed to Monday, the 26th of February 2024 at 10 a.m. Members of the House of Assembly are also reminded that there will be a sitting today starting at 10 a.m. of Education, together with UNESCO and Macmillan, has celebrated the International Mother Tongue Day, which was officially commemorated on the 21st of February 2024. The Minister of Education, Honorable Owen Ngumalo, says as a ministry they are on the verge of conveying all subjects being taught in school to be written in Siswati. The Minister says this will increase chances of the language not being forgotten or tarnished.
The International Mother Language Day was commemorated today at the Sibane Hotel. The Minister of Education, Honorable Owen Ngumalo, has encouraged all communities in the country to prioritize the importance of the Siswati language as part or alignment of the SDG 4 that promotes the quality of education in all nations.
We are very cognizant of the fact that learning can never take place
without ensuring that the learner learns in his or her own language. So concepts, mathematical concepts, science concepts, in order for a learner to understand better. That is the best way, the best approach is to use the mother tongue.
Bongani Mota, who is the managing director at Macmillan, says even subjects should be written in the Siswati language to help the students understand what they are being taught.
Usage of the native tongue as a medium for instruction for learners, especially for children, makes the learning so much more impactful. Therefore, I would like to say that we as publishers really look at a language as the bedrock of all education.
Luandle Simelane from UNESCO says learning the Siswati language will help us as Emaswati to learn other languages even better.
It's crucial that we use and translate our documents, our key documents, our laws, our legislations and policies into our mother tongue to ensure that as Swazi people, we are involved in talks of transformation from all walks of lives.
Reporting for Eswatini TV, Puoguhle Dlamini, Ezulwini.
The Honourable Minister of Education and Training, Owen Nxumalo, says education is critical in the development of any country. He was speaking during the launch of the Early Childhood and Basic Education project supported by the World Bank.
The World Bank says the strengthening of early childhood development and basic education system project will help Eswatini strengthen education service delivery. The project was launched by the Honourable Minister of Education and Training, Owen Nxumalo.
I am happy that the project we are launching is indeed on the enhancement of human capital development in the country, and according to the specialists, I quote, human capital development focuses on the economic behavior of individuals, their accumulation of knowledge and skills that enables them to increase their productivity and earnings. In so doing, they increase the productivity and wealth of the societies they live in.
World Bank country representative for Eswatini, Okechi Okori, said the project is set to strengthen the country's curriculum.
Education pays a great interest because it opens doors to opportunities. It opens doors that we must take deliberate steps to walk through. Education as well is what you might call the great equalizer. An investment in education allows that child from the rough side of town, or the south side, as you might call it, to rise and make his or her life better.
The World Bank also reports that of 10 children that start primary school in grade 1, only 3 enter Form 5. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Samkal Siwekoza with Simuva Shongwe Manzini.
The Honourable Minister of Agriculture, Mandla Chauka, says government is working on strengthening the value chains of competitive agriculture products. He was speaking during a tour of Eswatini oil and mill industries.
The Honourable Minister of Agriculture, Mandla Chauka, toured Eswatini oil and mill industries, known as SOMI, to unearth the capacity of the firm for Emaswati farmers to plant and supply them with soybeans. The minister says the exercise is part of the ministry's works of developing agriculture competitive value chains.
So kukhicita noma kuprocessa kwema-soybeans ukhiphe i-oil is a good example of developing value chains. Sidinga sitobuka lapha sobuka nale capacity yale nkampani ukuthi inganani. Sokhona ukuthi siphuma lapha sihambe sibuyelele ngemuva siyolima lawo ma-soybeans ukuze ukuthi eMaswati akhone ukuphila nale makhaya asupply le nkampani le.
SOMI Director Mohammed David said farmers have huge opportunities as the demand for soybeans is vast.
You require almost between 45,000 hectares. So it's quite big number to supply to me. But I believe Eswatini and all farmers, we have about register until now, what I know is 2,300 farmers.
On the same note, Somi has less loss as the soybeans also produce soap, animal feed and chocolate, amongst other products. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Samkal Siwekoza with Simuva Shongwe Matapa.
The Deputy Prime Minister's Office Principal Secretary Melusi Masugu says the Early Childhood and Basic Education project will help close existing challenges in the Orphaned and Vulnerable Children program. The PS was speaking during the launch of the Early Childhood and Basic Education project supported by the World Bank.
The Strengthening of Early Childhood Development and Basic Education System project follows a commitment by the Kingdom of Eswatini to ensure that all children reach their full potential and they all attain real learning. The Deputy Prime Minister's Office PS Melusi Masugu said they are excited about this project as it will also strengthen the OVC grant program.
The Office of the Deputy Prime Minister is pleased to note that the Orphan and Vulnerable Children Education Program will also form part of the project. And for that, we're grateful to the World Bank and the Ministry of Education. For us, at the Office of the Deputy Prime Minister, and by extension, government as a whole, the OVC education program is a thorny issue. Simply for what it has become. And it often begs the question, does it really serve the purpose for what it was intended?
Ketugutulas Milane spoke on behalf of overseas.
That I was offered an opportunity to teach computer basics by a man who promised to help me upgrade my English. However, this promise turned into a nightmare when he took advantage of me, of my vulnerability, and violated me. This is the plight of most overseas in the country. Instead of being offered help, we are often seen as prey by perpetrators. Some overseas are driven to risky behaviors such as early sexual debut, transactional and intergenerational sex, which often results in early and unintended pregnancies and other negative outcomes like contracting HIV.
The project, according to the World Bank, will see the training of teachers and providing them with support and further implement digital teaching and learning of mathematics and science. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Samkal Siwekoza with Zimuva Shongwe Manzini.
The Eswatini Communications Commission has signed an MOU with 5 government entities where they will look at the placement and maintenance of tower infrastructure. The MOU was signed at the ISACOM offices in Babane on Thursday.
The MOU that has been signed includes the Ministry of Urban Housing and Development, the Ministry of Tinkundla, the Environment Authority, and the Eswatini Civil Aviation Authority. The SCCOM CEO Mvila Wembidlamini says the MOU came about the environmental concerns interfering with aviation operations, amongst other concerns.
The MOU signals our commitment towards the development of our country through infrastructure, while assessing all relevant considerations before a tower is placed. Again, I would like to pass my sincere appreciation to all the entities represented here, and we look forward to a well-coordinated working relationship between ourselves.
The Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Housing, Dr. Simon Zwane, thanked on behalf of the stakeholders, saying government entities must be united as they all have one mandate to achieve one goal.
This is one clear example of how stakeholders should come together and work towards achieving an identified goal. Lesatiko kwekuthi emaswati nakwendeke kahle ngiyawo lata benefit at the end of the day. So kugcizelela lokho nje siyabonga kakhulu for the work that we have done, for the ideas that came through during the consultation processes. We really want to appreciate that.
The MOU signals the stakeholders' commitment in developing the country's infrastructure and improving communications in the country. Reporting, I am Kian Msibi, Babane.
Former MPC Member of Parliament Mthandeni Dube says the damage of property, including businesses, that happened during the 2021 unrest pains him a lot, as some individuals were pushing their ulterior motives. Dube said this when mitigating his sentence. High Court Judge Mamsi Dlamini found him and former Hosia Member of Parliament Mduduzi Baqede Mabuza guilty on 2 counts of murder and contravening the Suppression of Terrorism Act.
The former Ngwembisi Member of Parliament Mthandeni Dube said he was heartbroken by the damage that was caused to property after the Crown Council asked him if he was remorseful that after his speeches there was damage to property. When he said he was remorseful, the Crown Council informed him that he was not telling the truth. The Crown Council further asked Dube to state some of the things that were said by his co-accused Mduduzi Baqede Mabuza in court on Wednesday that he is not in agreement with. In response, Dube mentioned that Mabuza's submissions have nothing to do with him and he should not be associated with it. Dube emphasized that Mabuza was speaking for himself. Dube also added that even before they were arrested, he was only speaking as MPC Member of Parliament, while Mabuza was speaking as Hosia Member of Parliament. Dube went on to state that his term as a Member of Parliament is over, so it is now the duty of the current Members of Parliament to hold government accountable. The former lawmaker submitted that he is providing for his 3 children, wife, as well as his sickly mother. He added that he is also providing for another 5 children who are his relatives. Dube said 3 of the children are in high school, while the others are still in preschool. The former Ngwembisi MP also told High Court Judge Mamsi Dlamini that he was providing sanitary towels to 150 school-going girls. Dube said it is tough to be in prison and he does not wish any of his relatives to be arrested. Unlike his co-accused Baqede Mabuza, Dube submitted his mitigation under oath. That is why he was cross-examined by the Crown. On March 26th, the legal representative of the Crown and the accused persons are expected to make oral submissions. For Eswatini TV News, Fortune Dlangamandla, High Court.
International news, 3 Palestinian gunmen killed 1 person and wounded 8, among them a young pregnant woman, in a terror attack on Thursday when they sprayed automatic weapons fired vehicles near a Jewish settlement in the occupied West Bank, Israeli police said. Viewer discretion is advised.
Here on this highway in the occupied West Bank is where 3 Palestinians opened fire at motorists in traffic, not far from an Israeli checkpoint. The attack took place east of Jerusalem, near the Israeli Ma'ale Adumim settlement, and paramedics say they were quick to arrive at the scene.
Teams of MADA got to the place in a few minutes with ICU units, regular ambulances, motorcycle, first responders, and give medical treatment to 9 injured, which one of them was injured in critical condition.
Israeli police later specified that the gunmen, Palestinians from Bethlehem, were neutralized on site. After visiting the scene, Israel's far-right national security minister called to increase weapon distribution to Israelis and up the roadblocks for Palestinians, saying Palestinian freedom of movement came second to Israeli safety.
We are distributing more and more guns. There were some people who criticized me on this policy half a year ago. I think that today everyone understands that guns save lives. The right to life for Jewish residents in the West Bank is more important than the freedom of movement of the residents of the Palestinian Authority.
The attack comes as tensions in the occupied West Bank continues to escalate. They're already on the rise. Since Hamas's October 7th attack and Israel's ground offensive in Gaza, violence has reached levels unseen in nearly 2 decades. With heightened Palestinian attacks on Israelis, amidst near-daily Israeli military raids, resulting in often deadly clashes. It comes just days after Israel's Ben-Gvir proposed barring Muslim worshippers in the West Bank from prayer at the Al-Aqsa Mosque during the holy month of Ramadan, due to begin March 10th.
Brazil criticized the paralysis of the UN Security Council on the wars in Gaza and Ukraine as it opened a G20 meeting on Wednesday where the international community's deep divisions were on display.
The foreign ministers of the G20 gathered in Rio de Janeiro for the first meeting of Brazil's presidency It came against a backdrop of increasing division over the conflicts in Ukraine and Gaza, one which has prompted the hosts to call for an overhaul of the United Nations. Foreign Minister Mauro Vieira accused the intergovernmental organisation of being unfit for purpose in its current form.
Multilateral institutions, however, are ill-equipped to deal with the current challenges, as demonstrated by the Security Council's unacceptable paralysis in relation to ongoing conflicts. This state of inaction directly leads to the loss of innocent lives.
Permanent members of the Security Council, most notably the United States, Russia and China, often resort to their veto power to block resolutions. Most recently in a Security Council vote on Tuesday, where the US vetoed an Algerian resolution calling for a ceasefire in Gaza. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken met Brazilian President Luiz Lula da Silva on Wednesday, but the Americans admit there's still a shortfall in agreement on the Israel-Hamas conflict.
The Secretary had a chance to discuss the comments with President Lula today in his meeting in the context of an overall discussion about the conflict in Gaza, and made clear, as I did yesterday, made clear that those are comments with which we disagree.
Those differences will have to be put aside by G20 members as they attempt to hammer out a roadmap this week in advance of this year's summit, which will take place in Rio in November.
The October 7th Hamas attack on southern Israel involved systematic and deliberate sexual assaults on civilians, a report released by an Israeli group said on Wednesday.
The report's authors say their findings leave no room for denial or disregard. They described systematic and targeted sexual abuse in each of the attack areas: the Nova Music Festival, the kibbutzim around the Gaza Strip, and military bases targeted by Hamas militants.
What we learned, that this was an intentional way of behavior. In all of the crime scenes, in all the terrorist scenes that have happened, this systematic abuse, sadistic abuse, brutal abuse of women, children, and men happened.
The report contains graphic descriptions of sexual violence and mutilations based on witness testimonies, such as from first responders, public and classified information, and media reports. But it does not have testimonies of victims themselves. The researchers said victim identification was difficult because many were killed after being assaulted. The report also documents attacks on Israeli hostages in Gaza, over 100 of whom were released in late November.
One of the days, the terrorists called one of the girls, and when she came back, I could see on her face that something happened. I took her for a hug. After a few hours of everybody knowing that something happened, and she hardly spoke, she came to me, she looked at me in the eyes, and she said, "He touched me."
The report was presented to the UN Special Representative on Sexual Violence in Conflict. Israel has criticized UN bodies for not speaking out on the evidence of sexual assault on October 7th, and it has refused to cooperate with a commission of inquiry accusing it of bias. Hamas has categorically denied its fighters carried out sexual crimes during their attack.
A fire engulfed two residential buildings in the eastern Spanish city of Valencia on Thursday, killing 4 people and leaving 19 others missing hours after the blaze started.
Flames burst through what's left of the windows in these 2 residential buildings. Thick black smoke from the fire billows into the sky, drawing more and more onlookers who can only watch in shock and grief.
I told my daughter and mother-in-law to leave. Other people stayed inside.
It's a very bad feeling. It makes your hair stand on end to think that people are in there having a tough time.
The fire first broke out on the 4th floor of one of the buildings before engulfing other apartments. High winds of up to 60 kilometers per hour fanned the flames, pushing the fire onto the neighboring structure. As the blaze ripped through the buildings, residents had no choice but to flee to their balconies, waiting to be rescued by firefighters. Many got out alive, but not unscathed. with some residents and emergency services suffering from burns, fractures and smoke inhalation.
Some of those injured are firefighters, which shows the intensity of the work they are doing. The rest are civilians who have been sent to different hospitals.
Questions are now being raised over the safety of the cladding used on the buildings. The deputy head of Valencia's Industrial Engineers Association blames the highly flammable polyurethane cladding for the rapid spread of the fire. Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez has expressed shock over the incident and says the city will get all the help it needs.
Farmers are continuing to protest across France, with about 200 demonstrators stormed the headquarters of the largest dairy products group in the world on Wednesday, demanding better pay and restrictions on international competition. The French government has promised new legislation to ease tensions, but many farmers say they are insufficient, demanding reduced environmental protections as well.
About 200 demonstrators stormed the headquarters of the largest dairy products group in the world on Wednesday, demanding higher payments for farmers. Their action is part of a month of crippling nationwide protests over what farmers say are burdensome environmental rules, inadequate wholesale prices, and unfair competition from outside the EU.
It was extremely important for us to be here at a time with a lot of discussion of farmers' problems, our deep-seated anger, and our need for higher prices and income. Lactalis is a global and national symbol of companies that are predators of our labour.
Protests at Lactalis and other places across France came just hours after French Prime Minister Gabriel Attal announced a new agricultural bill seeking to appease farmers' demands. The legislation will create a new basis for negotiations between producers and wholesalers to improve farmers' incomes, and will also make it easier for farmers to obtain visas for foreign seasonal workers. These changes are on top of millions of euros recently paid out in emergency agricultural aid. But farmers say it's not enough. They are also pushing for revisions to EU laws that require 4% of farmland to remain fallow to protect biodiversity.
We're not going to give up on this. There's a delegation going to Paris at the end of the week, and if there's nothing at all on fallow farmland, it's certain we'll mobilise even more. I don't think we're going to be able to hold people back any longer.
Should the protests continue in Paris, they threaten to disrupt France's National Agricultural Fair, an important social and political event expected to be attended by President Emmanuel Macron.
United States, Britain, France and Germany on Thursday all backed outgoing Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte to succeed Jens Stoltenberg as the next Secretary General of NATO, putting him in a strong position to get the post.
For over a decade, he's been a mainstay in European politics. And now Mark Rutte's in pole position to take another leadership role crucial for the continent. The outgoing Dutch Prime Minister has received a number of endorsements to lead the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, or NATO. On Thursday, the White House backed Rutte for the job, as did the UK Foreign Office and a spokesperson for German Chancellor Olaf Scholz. Other messages of support came during the Munich Security Conference last weekend.
And of course, with Mark Rutte, we were partially nostalgic about the past and talking a little bit about the future, and as you will know, he's in the running to become NATO Secretary General, and I personally wish him the best of luck in that endeavor.
The next NATO Secretary General will succeed Jens Stoltenberg in October. They'll have the challenge of sustaining the alliance's support for Ukraine's costly defense against Russia, and depending on the outcome of the US presidential election, they may have to work closely with Donald Trump, an outspoken NATO critic. In Munich, Rutte said Europe should focus more on Ukraine than on the presidential frontrunner.
And we should, because you also mentioned the US, stop moaning and whining and nagging about Trump. And we have to work with whoever is on the dance floor.
Rutte said he agreed with Trump's assertion that Europe should be spending more on defense. NATO guidelines say members should spend at least 2% of their GDP on it. The Netherlands, though, has repeatedly failed to meet that target, but it is on track to reach it this year.
Brazilian footballer Dani Alves was convicted of raping a woman in a Barcelona nightclub in 2022 and sentenced to four and a half years in prison on Thursday, which his lawyer said he will appeal.
One of the most decorated footballers in history, found guilty of rape. Dani Alves has been sentenced to 4.5 years in prison after a court in Spain found him guilty of raping a woman in a Barcelona nightclub on the 31st of December 2022.
We're satisfied because the verdict recognizes what we've always said, that the victim was saying what she suffered had taken place. We're satisfied and happy for her and all women.
The 40-year-old was also ordered to pay €150,000 in compensation to the victim and will face 5 years of probation. The Brazilian had been accused of luring the woman to a bathroom in the VIP section of this nightclub. Alves first denied knowing his accuser, before later claiming he met her in the toilet but nothing happened between them. He then changed his version of events again, claiming they had consensual sex and denying hitting the victim and grabbing her hair. The 23-year-old said she begged Alves to let her go. In a statement, the court said there was evidence other than the victim's testimony proving that she had been raped. Alves' lawyer said she will appeal the verdict. Both state prosecutors and lawyers representing the victim had asked for a longer sentence. During his glittering career with spells at Barcelona, PSG and Juventus, the former fullback won league titles in Spain, France and Italy, as well as 3 Champions League trophies. His trial comes after Spain recently passed a landmark law aiming to toughen penalties for sexual crimes and making consent the key factor in determining assault cases.
Ferry journeys between the Senegalese capital, Dakar, and the southern city of Ziguinchor have been suspended for 7 months now. The route was closed by the government in June 2023 amid political turmoil following the prison sentence handed to opposition leader Ousmane Sonko himself, the mayor of Ziguinchor, and the closure has brought tough times to people living in the south of the country.
The Aline Sitoé Diatta has been stuck at port since June 2023 after being taken out of service by the government. It would normally undertake voyages to Ziguinchor, a major city in the southern Casamance region, where the route closure has been hard felt.
We have been stuck for 8 months. Business has slowed down. We don't see anyone. We have never experienced anything like this in Ziguinchor. Ever since the boat stopped, we have sold almost nothing.
Each week, this boat, one of 3 ferries to service the Dakar-Ziguinchor route, would transport more than 900 passengers. Many port workers have lost their jobs and can't understand the government's decision.
No one has explained why this is happening. No one. Everyone who we ask just says there are no boats without further explanation. There are 400 to 500 dock workers without any work.
Farmers in Casamance are currently unable to send their produce, cashew nuts, mangoes, palm oil and fish, to markets in Dakar. Local taxi drivers have said the route closure has had a knock-on effect on them too.
With clients coming from Dhaka, there was always so much activity around the port, so we were always busy. But look at it now, there is no one. We really want the boats to come back.
Last month, the Prime Minister announced a plan to bring the Aline Sitoé Diatta back into service, but authorities here in Ziguinchor are unable to provide a firm date.
In our sports news, football supporters believe that Sihlangu Semnikati has a great chance of winning against Somalia during the first leg of their preliminary 2025 AFCON qualifiers.
In 2023, Sihlangu Semnikati faced Somalia in 2023 Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers ahead of the finals in Ivory Coast. Sihlangu defeated Somalia by 5-1 on aggregate. The 2 nations will once again face each other in the preliminary stage of the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers to be staged in Morocco. Members of the public, especially football lovers, had something to say about the fixture.
Abafana ngicabanga ukuthi baye in shape bose ngiyabethemba kuphela nje ngicabanga ukuthi bo coach bethu nabangalungisa banga concentrate kakhulu la kuma forces phela live elikhulu kunehohoshiselweni lonke lelive elikhulu kungaconcentratewa nganhlanye ngiqabanga lokhu kuvama kusilimata kakhulu ukhothi bethu ngathi siconcentrate kakhulu la kuma forces
ngibuka ngathi sinawo ama chance kuwina ngoba nayo ngishiso ukuthi iSomalia nayo kusiyo nje live lesingathi limadima kakhulu
kube ikhona le support ngoba abadlali bakhona akusho sibadlali kude bakhona abadlali singale support hawo besitawina maningi manje singabe sesiyawadla manje nani
ngicabanga ukuthi sitawudlala kakhulu kahle kakhulu isihlangu ngoba vele live leSomalia lingaphasi kwethu ngicabanga ukuthi isihlangu sitawina sesifisela inhlanhla nje ukuthi sichubeke sihlale kahle
sifisa ukuthi siwine vele siyasifeva isihlangu ngoba live lethu.
The first leg Sihlangu will start away in Somalia on the 20th of March with the return leg on the 26th of the same month. Reporting for Eswatini TV Sports, I'm Linda Dlamini. Bye-bye.
Local female athlete Bongiwe Mahlalela believes that getting a national record in 150 meters will boost her confidence in preparations for the All Africa Games to be held in Ghana next month.
In preparations for the 2024 All Africa Games in Ghana, local female athlete Bongiwe Mahlalela continues with preparation as she was competing in 150 meters in South Africa. Mahlalela believes she is in perfect
a national record of 150 meters with a time of 17.70 seconds, and I placed position 2, which was a very wonderful time for me and my coach, especially because we were targeting a 7.2 and a 17.1, but I happened to run the first time. I'm happy about it. It means my 100 meters and my 200 meters this season is going to be a great one, and I'm looking forward to further break those times from my PBs. And the other very week, I ran my 100 meters with a personal best time of 11.53 seconds, coming from 11.65 seconds. I'm happy with those times, and right now I'm preparing for African Games. Everything is good. Everything is going the way I want things to be, and working hard. I'm pushing very hard in training, and I've also qualified for African Champs, and I'm still trying to qualify for Paris Olympics 2024, and I think anything is possible on this planet Earth.
On the other hand, Sibusiso Swazipol Matendra took part of the same competition as well, and his next destination will be in Germany next week. Reporting for Eswatini TV Sports, I'm Linda Dlamini. Mbabane.
Sitibesa lapho nasibuya sizabe sikhulumisana na Fabrice Musonera ngedemidlalo.
Welcome back to the program. We are joined by Fabrice Musonera kukhulumisa tindzaba temidlalo. Indzaba lenkhulu singangeni nje engcenye kuLeague Fabrice le sitayibona ibuya kule mphela sonto. sihlangu sifonswe neSomalia siyabona ke maswati lamaningi nje sibuya kuthi Ndzaba ngathi yajabula kakhulu ukuthi sidonse iSomalia. They feel like it's going to be an easy road for sihlangu AFCON 2025.
Yeah, it's a very good morning, Swiso, and to the viewers. And I think for coach and the technical bench, they shouldn't be really frustrated because they've been down this road before. So to explain to the viewer, a preliminary stage is before you are drawn into group stages, because there is group stages where now you have to qualify for the AFCON. So once you win this game against Somalia, you then proceed to the group stages where there's a draw. We were in the same position even in 2020, 2021.
Okay.
Before the AFCON that just finished. We played Somalia twice.
Okay.
At home it was 2-1. We like staying at home, but we didn't play at home because we used the neighboring country as our facility. Then the return match was 3-0, so the aggregate was 5-1. So I think the same coach, technical bench, some of the key players are still around. So I don't think much will change, because then when we play them, there were already talks about how they can beat us, because then their head coach was a former Sihlangu coach. So this time around, we see how the story unfolds itself. But I've got no doubt that Sihlangu will defeat Somalia, and I have confidence that they've got what it takes. If you look at the strength of the league, the players we have, we shouldn't struggle. We won't struggle. And I think from what the viewers are saying as well, our league is above standard of football. So we shouldn't really even be thinking. We should be thinking about, once we get to the group stages, what should we do?
Maybe our approach going forward, Fabrice, wherever my fans, lamanye afake ma recommendations ukuthi kungathi sesifocus kakhulu kuma forces. Kufuna ukuthi sikushintshe ke lendlela lesi-approacha ngayo, indlela lesifaka ngayo abadlali selector ngakhona squad sethu. Singafocus kakhulu kuma forces. Are you of the same mentality? If the forces are playing good football,
I would like to disagree a bit. You know why? Because I'm blame a very coach all the time, and sometimes it's his fault. But when it comes to such things, you can't blame coach, the national team coach, because he select those who are the best right now. And so if Leopard is doing well, so you can't say don't select Leopard, yes. But when Eswatini should up their game, Highlanders, they should up their game, so that we can be able to see players from those teams. So the coach has to select what's available. So let's not use the term forces have got, they have players. That's why they're competing in the league. So if other teams can provide, then he will select from them.
MTN Premier League returns, and I believe that games today, Babane Highlanders versus Ilovo, Rangers versus Denver, 1:30 p.m. Highlanders and Ilovo at 3:30 p.m. just to start the weekend. Of course, there will be other games. But let's start with Rangers versus Denver. What are our predictions for this game?
I think I've been impressed with what Rangers are doing so far. I think in terms of confidence and performance and consistency, they are ahead of Denver. Denver, I think I'm worried, is one of the teams that are really not doing well. So coming to this game, Rangers, I like to give them an upset. Highlanders, Ilovo, Highlanders shouldn't go with a big head that, they're a big team and, they can defeat Ilovo easily. But Ilovo can surprise, Babane Highlanders, especially on games like this when you're not expecting that they can bring anything they have. I mean, they have defeated a team like Green Mamba, the defending champions. So who are you not to take them serious? So it's a tough one. So I'll give them a draw. Highlanders, Ilovo should be a draw. If then it's anything different, Highlanders should get 3 points. But for Rangers, Denver, I think Rangers will get the 3 points.
Interesting. Green Mamba versus Moneni Pirates. It's been a lot of concerns about Green Mamba inconsistency. Fabrice, are they looking to get a win? Let out Pinzibuisi confidence versus Moneni Pirates. It's really picking up.
I would say they won't struggle against this team. I think Pirates, the only problem they're having is just they need that short blessing. So would say, can they get that 3 points? Once they get the 3 points, I think it's a record running one now, but not a good one, because we're into 17 games in the league now. We're entering day 18, and they're yet to get 3 points. So they're really frustrating. So coming against Green Mamba, inconsistency, you've mentioned that. But now they know. I think midweek I was actually talking to the 4 coaches who are fighting for the title. and Enes Mavuso was saying, you know what, I think we want it more than anyone else because we know how sweet it is to be victorious. So I think they'll pick up, and I think against Pirates in this game, they shouldn't struggle. Yes, Pirates will score. Let's put that on paper. Pirates will score, but Green Mamba will get 3 points.
It's quite interesting. Moneni Pirates, like you have said, they are still looking to secure their first 3 points, which means their first win in 17 matches. But draw 10 of game, Baluza 7, and that's a very, very bad run for 17 games. And you know, umuntu angafuna kuvetela ukuthi ngibo bodwa la bede iwin ngoba nobuke iWanderers yona seyiwinile at least kabili, neZulu United at least 2 times, Wanderers at least 3 times. You know, these other teams are winning, but
Look, I like what you just mentioned, because if you look at the 10 points, that's the 10 draws that they have managed to get. Then you go above a bit, you look at teams I just mentioned, like Denver, number 11. They are also not doing well because, like I was saying, if Pirates can just get that kick of 3 points, they are likely to just give all the teams above them a competition. So the teams that I'm saying that are really not safe, from number 10 to number 14, anyone. But I don't think Rangers will go down. The teams that are likely to go down is from number 11, number 12, number 13, and number 14.
I want you to look at record there and Singizini Hotspurs sitting there at position 7. You know, having lost a game in the last 5 games, they're looking really good. Yes, but Raule their last game, but they are getting into this weekend and they're going to face young Buffaloes, and Buffaloes, it's all green.
It's a tough one because you look at the form, like you highlighted.
Young Buffaloes.
Yeah, and I think for me that's the team I think they are likely to win the league. If I look at their bringing, so I don't think Spurs will stand the heat. These guys are very good.
Yeah,
and I think there are reports that one of their key players is also wanted by Zesco United Club.
But Badlalelagu, because that's another thing for Singizini Hotspurs, where they are playing, says a lot about.
It says a lot. Obviously, if we know that the record with Singizini at Kings Obuz and Hlangana. So, but I think Buffaloes is a team that can stand the pressure. They can stand the heat. So
and come out victorious. And
I'll give them. What I've liked about Spurs is that they have been able to hold the so-called big guns and get draws and make them draw points like Mbabane Swallows last weekend. But come to this weekend, I think they've got what it takes, Buffaloes.
I think the biggest game this weekend will obviously be Royal Leopards versus Mbabane Swallows, even just looking at where they are in the log standings. Royal Leopards sitting at position number 2, Swallows at position number 4. You look at their winning record.
That's the game of the weekend.
Yeah. 7 wins for Swallows so far this season, only 9 wins for Royal Leopards. Royal Leopards has been the better team this season, but Swallows is picking up. Yes, they've been affected by injuries, Fabrice, but going into this weekend, do we see Swallows upsetting Royal Leopards?
It's highly possible because there's so much history between the two sides. We had a time where the two teams were providing the best players for the national team.
Right.
Club competition, Mbabane Swallows playing CAF competition, group stages. Royal Leopard also the same thing, reaching group stages. You look at the coaches, understanding the local football. Both teams, I think they were the first 2 teams to play the final of Ngunyama Cup when it was first launched, the first inception. So there's so much history. The 2 teams playing the King's Cup, so all these things come to play when you talk about this fixture. But now it's about the title. Caleb Ngunya knows how much 3 points will make them, stay in the race. And anything is possible, Sfiso, because if, for instance, a Leopard gets 3 points, they are 35. If, Swallows get 3 points, they are 33, depending on how young Buffaloes and Singizini Hotspurs results are going to be. So anything is possible because I think whoever gets 3 points this coming weekend will then show that they want it more. But to me, I give it to Leopard.
It's big games for the top 5 teams.
Yeah, for the top 5 teams. But I give it to Leopard. Form, consistency. I think that's another thing maybe we can highlight. In as much as they drew against Highlanders last weekend, but they know how to win such games, Leopard. When it matters, I think they can put good. They can put a good performance.
It's tricky for Leopards because, like you are saying, their biggest prayer going into the weekend is that they secure a win, while young Buffaloes loses or at least draws against Nsingizini Hotspurs, and that is highly unlikely. If we're being honest. But let's see what's going to pan out.
But there's a game we didn't touch on, so sorry to catch you. 12 and 13. Zurich United and Manzini Wanderers. And I think it should be a tricky one because both teams, they are avoiding relegation.
They've played equally the same this season.
17
games, 2 wins, 7 draws, and 8 losses apiece. So the difference right now is just the goal difference.
Yeah, and I think Wanderers at Mafuso just playing Zurich United, if they can get 3 points and hoping that Rangers defeated Denver, they're up to 11th. So Wanderers, things maybe are looking good for them.
Match day 26 of 38 of the English Premier League, Liverpool versus Luton Town, and you know what an interesting game it was. But maybe yes, I want us to discuss that game, the 4-1 win, Liverpool. But these fixtures, I love what we are going to see this weekend. Personally, as someone who is really interested in what Arsenal will do this season, because you still don't want to count them out. They have a very important game against Newcastle. How will they play against Newcastle? But maybe before we get there, I'm getting overexcited now. Let's start with Liverpool versus Luton. An expected result.
Unexpected results, yes. One would say they're in the race. I mean, people talked about Liverpool not being in the race. I think they're in the race.
Right.
They're in the race, and this fight will be until the last minute. I remember when the season started, people talking about Liverpool not being any, and the confidence that these guys have, you know, knowing that Klopp is leaving, they are capable of going all the way and take it. And then
just to honor Klopp.
Yeah, just to honor Klopp. Number 2, number 3, they're also in the mix, but. Number 1, I think Liverpool are just showing character and strength. I think that's one thing they were complaining about Arsenal, to say Liverpool and City have been here before, where they fought until the last minute, where you find that the difference between the two teams at the end of the season is just a point. But as Arsenal have that courage, that consistency, that form to fight until the last minute. Now, we've reached a level of now where you start noticing February, March, the coaches will start complaining about the time of rest and then how the games are coming hard and thick. Because remember, Arsenal played on Wednesday in Champions League. They're playing on Saturday evening. So the recovery was only on Thursday. Talking about travel, the recovery was on Thursday. So today it's when there's a proper training session. So these things will start coming out. You know, we didn't have enough time. City will come also, they say same thing in Champions League. Liverpool were doing also Europa
League. I guess
League.
for City, Fabrice, yes, they may want to say that, but they are facing Bournemouth. Come on now. And Bournemouth is down there at number 13 there.
It should be an easy one for
It should be an easy one.
But it's a tricky one for Arsenal. Newcastle United, it's always a tough. And it's a game that is, when you watch Arsenal and Newcastle United, it's a game that have always provided goals. Talk about goals, we've had 6-6, we've had 4-4, we've had 3-3. You know, it's a game that always, you know, provides goals. But they are home, Arsenal. We should give them that chance. If anything is to go by, they are home. It won't be an easy one, but let's hope.
It certainly won't be an easy one. As you look at their last 5 matches that they played together, they won 2 games apiece and they drew 1, which means these teams really know each other's strengths and weaknesses, and it's really hard to always, you know, anticipate what's going to happen. But maybe just if you judge by current form, Arsenal is the better team.
It's a better team. I've been raising my concerns to different friends and say Aston Villa. And I think how they started the season, especially during the Christmas period, they were on fire. But when you look at them now, I think it's just a different team. They are way far from this fight. At some point, we were saying Aston Villa are in to win it, but they're just so far from the fight.
It's
now.
Very interesting what is happening in the English Premier League. When you look at, you know, position 1 up to position 4, the points difference is quite huge. Kanziki lapha ekhaya besibona bo 3 points difference, nasabo 1, 2, nabo 3. But it's different. Look at Aston Villa, 49 points. Liverpool, 60 points. And like you are saying, at position 4, one should still have hope. But you just highlighted, you don't even see them. Yeah.
And I think at some point I was actually tipping Spurs or Aston Villa, one of them, to stay in top 4. But I think Manchester United, slowly are pushing themselves into that corner. They want to finish 4th. If you look at how they've been winning, small margins, 2-1, 1-0, 2-1. And I think if they can keep this form, and they're playing Fulham over the weekend, they're adding pressure for the two sides, Spurs and Aston Villa. But let's see, because I think Spurs, Aston Villa, they're two sides also, they want to remain in this fight. But Man United are coming right into the fight.
And Fulham is not a really consistent team this season. I mean, they lost their last game, but they'd beaten Bournemouth right before that game, and understandably so, it was Bournemouth anyway. But Manchester United, very inconsistent themselves. I wouldn't want to be confident as a Manchester United fan that they are coming back with a win.
They are home. Maybe you just give them that. The so-called this young squad, Garnacho, Maino, all these kids are showing really confidence. I think Eric Ten Hag has really decided to keep on moving with this so-called youth squad. I'm confident. I think against Fulham at home, they can pull the 3 points and hope that maybe Aston Villa didn't win against Nottingham Forest and Spurs didn't win. Then they jump to number 5, but they can't jump on number 5 because the goal difference between them and Spurs is quite high. Spurs are 14 goals ahead, and Manchester United just a goal. Maybe they'll be equal on points with Spurs, but Spurs will remain number 5 on goal difference. But the fight is still wrong because we're talking about 13 games into the season remaining. So anything at this point in time. Now we don't talk about a game in hand for Manchester City anymore. All teams have played 25 games. So I'm talking about the top 3. But if you go down, there are teams that are yet to finish their games. But if you talk about the top 3, the numbers are still looking good. But this weekend,
that game in hand is not an advantage.
It's an advantage, yeah. This weekend, City is playing, Arsenal is playing, Liverpool already played, so anything is possible. So at this point in time, we just have to watch closely every movement from the top 3. Otherwise, at the bottom, I think the 3 teams, the way they are, I think they are going down. Yeah, these are the teams I think they are going down because not to undermine the 3 teams, but I will hate to see Everton really dropping into the Sky Sports Championship because we've seen Everton is one of the teams even here in Swaziland.
They're playing Brighton this weekend.
Yeah, they're playing Brighton. So even here in Eswatini, continent-wise, they have supporters. So they are Everton fans. Spurs, Everton, Aston Villa, they have got African supporters.
It's a pity the Chelsea and Tottenham game had to be postponed. I was really looking forward to that one. My Chelsea is finally picking up, but it's too late. But it's just for the Chelsea fans. They can appreciate a win. Just the football banter.
More than anything, I think Chelsea next season will compete. People are asking why, because I think Pochettino now is trying to gather the squad to understand each other. Because if you look at their performance against Manchester City, how they stopped City, how they combined everything.
Exactly.
So I think there'll be some in-house sweeping this summer, and we might see, in terms of sweeping, I'm talking about releasing players. Some of the players they don't need, but we might see a different Chelsea next season, and they will fight for the title.
Big game for Real Madrid as we start match day 26 in the La Liga. They are playing Sevilla, and they really want to secure a win against Sevilla. They really want to secure a win. They've been looking really good, in the La Liga, but Girona is still there, and I would argue they are still contending. Barcelona is still there. I would argue they are still contending, and luckily they are playing Getafe this weekend, which might be an easy win for Barcelona. But for Real Madrid against Sevilla, what should we expect?
It's a tough one. I'm looking at the dates because Girona, they play on Monday, and it's a tough one because FC Barcelona, yes, we highlighted that they are not really far from this fight, but look at Sunday. Once Madrid against Sevilla, once they drop points, then on Monday, it's a serious game for Girona because they will go into that game knowing that now the difference between number 1, number 2, themselves and number 1, it's quite short. But look at where they are now. 56, 62. So if they drop points,
they'll be 3 points behind.
They'll be 3 points behind.
Yeah.
So Girona will go into this game full force. But
Real Madrid is 6 points ahead of Girona.
But let's not count number 3 out.
Barcelona.
Like I've said, they win their game as well.
25 matches into the league.
And by the time Girona plays on Monday, Barcelona will be number 2 because they are playing tomorrow. FC Barcelona.
And they are winning against Getafe.
I think they
want to win.
They want to win. There'll be 57 points. Then by the time Girona plays... So Girona, when they play on Monday, they'll have 2 issues to deal with. Let's finish the fact that they will have to go back to their position and avoid dropping behind Barcelona. And they also want to catch up with number 1.
Chris, thank you for joining us. We've run out of time. Well, muhle taba nempela sonto le let's enjoy onke la magame bese sikhulume ngawo sitabona nayo somlo kwansela kahle.
The day you take Christ into your life, you begin to walk in a blessing.
Eswatini masitawushiya simakazi sibukela abanye bonkulunkulu uNkulunkulu utawukhwesha kithi Eswatini singamlahli uNkulunkulu
sitomdumisa sisho sithi uyigwele somali
mase ubutholile lobungcwele hlala ungilongcwele
ningesabi nimaswati. This is our season. Nguye idolo, nguye namhla, nguye nakusasa.
Libika vela liqamba imanga sesivele esikhulu ohlelo lethu siyakuthumisa intsambama ngibonga kakhulu ukuthi uthathe leli thuba nje unikete uNkulunkulu ukuthi athi awukhuluma nempilo yakho uthi nike leli thuba ukuthi ngifuna ukukufa uNkulunkulu uthi uthini empilweni yami nalomuhla entsambama ehlelweni vele ngenamhla sebukela indasi khona eMandvulo Grand Hall lapho khona emakhosi ethu bekende inkonzo lenkulu kakhulu yekumncenga uNkulunkulu yekumbida uNkulunkulu yekuletha live leMaswati uNkulunkulu ukuthi nangomnyaka wa2024 phinza wende lo dume ngako uNkulunkulu sihole usibambe ngesandla sakho eminyakeni wa2024 lomhlanje na ke sitabe sithola donathi incekuta uNkulunkulu namhla sitawuthola yena umfundisi Tembe sithole naye umfundisi Gloria wakamaseko sibonga basiphe wona livi la uNkulunkulu ngethemba ukuthi utawubuseka uNkulunkulu asakhulumisana nathi ehlelweni lelithi siyakuthumisa ngempela bathe bakhuluma ngokuthi ngempela Showreel icingo lishayelwe khona ezulwini kanzima ke Gloria yena imfundisi Gloria utabasipha liva khuluma ukuthi impela labamadi koNkulunkulu abamesaba koNkulunkulu batshele ukuthi kutabahambela kahle ngithemba sitawubuseka sehlethi namehlelene lithi siyakuthumisa
akhona amandla okuphilisa wona ke akhona amandla asekazini lika Jesu akhona amandla wona akhona amandla wona ake sisho sonke enkonzweni akhona amandla shene mikia akusema ya asekazini sitakhona amandla
simemeza khona